welcome to today's video. Well, today's video is about who wants to be a genealogist, and we're looking at maybe doing a format like this, making some fun questions each week, just to get you to look more into history, make history more fun and exciting, maybe share it with your friends. Here we go. The first question in Who Wants to Be a Genealogist is, now, just so you know, the question is, who was the first person to serve as president after the United States declared independence from Britain? Now, people around the world are like, Larry, this isn't fair. Well, I'm going to ask questions from other parts of the world and some that are just world questions. So I promise you that by the end of this quiz, you're going to know that this quiz was just as fair to everybody. So no matter where you are in the world, you have an equal chance of getting more questions right than as anyone else. All right, so here we go. Who was the first person to serve as president after the United States declared independence from Britain? Was it A, Andrew Jackson, B, John Hanson, C, John Adams, or D, George Washington? Who was the first president after the United States declared independence? All right, lock in your answers. Is it A, B, C, or D? Lock them in. Give you a couple more seconds. 3, 2, 1. The answer is John Hanson. And I can promise you that almost every American citizen got that wrong. So if you're outside the U.S., you had a 1 in 4 chance. And for those inside the U.S., you probably picked D. On November 5th, 1781, Congress elected Hanson as president of the United States under the Articles of Confederation of our new country. He was the first of 14 people to serve as president prior to George Washington, who we know was the first elected by the citizens under the constitutional framework. But there were actually 14 presidents for our country before George Washington, each one of them serving usually 1 to 3 months, some a couple weeks, some a little bit longer, but typically it was a couple months. All right, did you know John Hanson? Raise your hand if you knew it. If you raised your hand, you're either a student in college studying history or you might be stretching the truth. All right, so here we go. Question number 2. We're going to ask this in such a way that there's no wiggle room, right? Because it's not like me to look for an angle. Who was the first president of the United States who was elected to the office of president of the United States by the citizens to legally hold the office of the president of the United States? All right, so they ran for the office of president. They elected, towards that office. They got votes for the office of president, and they were the first to actually be president of the United States in the elected framework. Not the first 14, but who was the first person after those 14 people to have the duties of president of the United States? Was it A, Andrew Jackson, B, John Hanson, C, John Adams, or D, George Washington? And I'll give you a hint, everybody. This person is on currency. All right. Think you know it? Lock in your answers. Write them down. No. I'm not going to believe you unless you write it down. Write it down on something. A, B, C, or D. Here we go. All right. Here's the answer in 3, 2, 1. The answer is John Adams. Again, if you're outside the United States, I promise you had the advantage in this question. John Adams ran for the office of president in 1788 and received votes, actually coming in second place to George Washington. So he was voted on, aka elected towards the office of president. He just didn't win the office. The definition of elect means to choose for that office. He was chosen by the citizens to be president, but he didn't win. So if he didn't win, how was he the first president? Well, the inauguration of John Adams as the vice president took place on April 21st, 1789 in the House of Representatives chamber, Congress Hall, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Because remember, before Washington, D.C., we were in Philadelphia. Might be a question in the future. On April 30th of that same year, George Washington took the oath, which was 9 days after. In the absence of a president, the vice president assumes the duties and the role of president of the United States to fill that void. So for the 9 days between when John Adams swore into office as vice president, he then assumed the office of the presidency for 9 days until George Washington, who was elected and actually won the race for president, was sworn in and became our first duly elected president who served as president, which is not the same as who was the first who was elected towards the office of president who became president, which was John Adams. You knew that, right? All right. Those of you who say they got 2 out of 2, I'm looking at you kind of funny right now. All right, but they got to get easier, right? All right, so simple questions here. Here we go. Next question. We just talked about this on the 2 previous questions, so how much easier can this get, right? I mean, you ask enough, and I've told you enough, you can't possibly miss this one. John Adams served as Vice President of the United States. He became Vice President because he was elected by the Senate, because he was runner-up to George Washington, because he was elected as Vice President by the citizens, because he was appointed by George Washington, the winner, to be the Vice President. No using Google, quit. I can see you virtually. Here we go. John Adams served as the first Vice President of the United States. He became Vice President because he was elected by the Senate. He was runner-up to Washington. He was elected as VP by citizens. He was appointed by George Washington. Lock in your answers. Coming in 3, 2, 1. Voted on as VP, runner-up? No, because remember I said he ran for the office of president. He was not elected as vice president. He actually ran for the office of president, and prior to the 12th Amendment, the runner-up in the presidential election would become the vice president of the United States. Therefore, no election was held for the vice president, and he was not elected vice president by the citizens. Instead, he was elected for the office of president. He was just the second place vote getter. The 12th Amendment changed how we do this office today. That was ratified in 1804. Before that, it was always the runner-up. After 1804, then we had to specifically name that person on a ballot and vote for that person for that office. Now, was this done so government would be more harmonious, so you didn't have 2 people of different parties? Or was it just to make one person not run for president, saying, hey, you probably won't win president, why don't you just go ahead and be the vice president? You know, who knows? It gave him a second chance to have power in Washington. I don't know, but can you imagine what it would be like if we hadn't ratified the 12th Amendment in 1804? Today's current election, you got Trump and Biden. You would either have Trump as president and Biden as vice president, or Biden as president and Trump as vice president. Can you imagine, if you think Washington is a zoo of crazies now, can you imagine if that was the outcome of our election today? Whew, man. I think Twitter would break just from the load. All right, on to the next question. We're going to fast forward in history about half a century. That's your clue for the next series of questions. Born in England, but raised in the United States, Englishman turned U.S. citizen William Holland Thomas was best known for what? As the author of the Gettysburg Address, made famous by Lincoln. The inventor of the Bowie knife, made famous by Jim Bowie. As being a chief of the Cherokee Indian Nation. Or D, being the first governor for the state of Kentucky. All right. Born in England, raised in the United States, Englishman turned U.S. citizen, William Holland Thomas was best known for what? Got your answers? Write this one down. I want to see if you get this one. This one, I just want to know. Just write this one down. Let's see what you get. The answer in 3, 2, 1. Chief of the Cherokee Indian Nation. Okay. This one's going to catch a lot of people by surprise. Those of the Cherokee Indian Nation as well as American citizens. So, as I told you, you around the world, these questions, you had absolutely as much chance of getting them as people in America. I promise you that. You probably had a better chance because, you know, the version of history that we kind of see and think in the United States has been kind of polished and glossed over and buried in history. And unless you're a genealogist and you research this stuff, you probably wouldn't know the answers. All right? So you literally did have more of a chance because our ideologies and dogmas kind of point us in the wrong direction. Born in England, raised in the United States, William Holland Thomas is best known for being chief of the Cherokee Indian Nation. Now, I'm going to ask you to go ahead and look up William Holland Thomas. I actually found this through my own genealogy. I told you I had, Indian heritage, and I was specifically looking for names and came across him. So I'll leave it at that. I'll just let you know that, at the time, most people know the Indian Removal Act and the Trail of Tears, and they know that, the United States made treaties and, maybe favorable, unfavorable. The short of this story is the United States made a treaty with the Cherokee, and some people say it wasn't the legitimate leaders, et cetera, et cetera. Not getting into the political deal, but the bottom line was an amount was paid per acre greater than that of the Louisiana Purchase, and every Cherokee was given their portion of money. Now, part of them took the money and went to Oklahoma. That's the western band of the Cherokee. And the eastern band of the Cherokee, their story went a little different. So William Holland Thomas was about 3 or 4 years old when his parents were killed in what is presumed to be an Indian raid. That part has been scrubbed, and I can't find what actually happened. So, that was the original stories. Now those have been scrubbed. I don't know. But they died when he was 3 or 4 years old, and he was raised by people that ran the fur trading post, there in the hills of North Carolina, and there he traded with the Indians. Contrary to what most people thought, there was a lot of cooperation there. And in the trading the goods was so often that he actually learned the Cherokee language bit by bit, and he was endeared to the chief of the Cherokee Nation. Now, the chief had his own biological son and family, and when William Hollis got to be about 12 years old, the chief asked if he could adopt him, if he would become his son, and he said yes. So he adopted him. And as time went on, he learned the ways, and it was, not only was he born in England and became a U.S. citizen, but he was also a citizen of the Cherokee Indian Nation. And when the chief was on his deathbed, he called people together and said, "It's my wish that William Thomas be elected the next chief over my biological son." And they, I guess, agreed because they elected William Holland Thomas to be chief of the Cherokee Nation. Now, the things that were going on at this time, Indian Removal Act and things like that, nobody could own land but a white person. Well, William Holland Thomas was white. And being chief of the Cherokee, he could then purchase land because he was white. And he took all the money that he had saved, and all of the Indians, all the Cherokee Indians who had gotten their money from the purchase, pooled together all the money they could, every cent they could, and bought all the land they could. And that became the Qualla Indian Reservation, where they lived from then even to this day. The Qualla Indian Reservation, where the eastern band of the Cherokee Nation exists even to this day in Qualla, North Carolina. So if you didn't know it, the reason I know this one is because of genealogy. My specific family's genealogy went right straight to here and surprised me. Now, I was born in Oklahoma and raised there for the most part before I came to Texas. And Oklahoma, that's Indian land. There's no question about Oklahoma being Indian land. And a lot of friends I have are, full-blood Cherokee. And when I inquired about my family and this story, they knew nothing about a white person being chief of the Cherokee Nation. So this one's going to be a surprise to both people in the Cherokee Nation. Unless you're from Qualla on the Eastern Band, then you probably know this story. But if you're not from the Eastern Band, if you're from the Western Band in Oklahoma, where my friends were from, you probably don't know this story. And so, again, like I said, those of you outside the United States, you had just as much chance. But All right, on to the next question. This one is going to be for outside the United States. This one is going to be for people specifically in Germany. And if you're in Germany and you miss this next question, I'm just going to... I got no words. Which of the following is not a part of Germany? A. Thuringia. B. Saxony. C. Saarland. D. Landau. Now, I'm going to let you laugh at me here for a minute. Laugh it up. Because if you miss this question, I'm going to laugh at you. All right, which of the following is not part of Germany? Now, I don't know how many people watching this are from Germany, but if you are and you missed this, oh, dude or dudette, I got no words. All right, here we go. The answer in 3, 2, 1. D. Landau. You thought I was going to say the names again. Yeah. No. Okay, so for the people in the United States who don't know, and most of you won't because I had to look this up for the purpose of this question, A, B, and C are states in Germany. And D is actually in France. So if you're in France and you missed this one, then I equally got to kind of roll my eyes and wonder about you as well. But if you're in Germany and missed this one, I really got to question it. For those in the United States, because these are states in Germany, that'd be like me asking people in the United States if which the following doesn't belong in the United States: New York, California, Texas, or Mexico City. And, well, leaving political ideologies aside, physically Mexico City is not in the United States. So that's not a part of Germany. And also, if you were in Mexico and didn't know Mexico City was a part of Mexico, I'd equally wonder about you, which is why D, if you're in France, I've got to wonder there too. Anyway, so that's a question for Europe. I just thought I'd throw that one in for kind of fun. But this next question, this one is equal for the entire world. This is a world question. All right? This is not specific to any predisposition, so you could literally be from any part of the world and have the same chance on this. And this is the last question. So here we go. The last question. Here we go. Ready for it? Equal to everybody. What country today uses the oldest active constituted documents to govern its country? Now, before you get into the whole constituted documents thing, that's not meant to be a trick question. Basically what I'm asking here is, what country today has the longest currently running government form? So, in order to have a government, you have to have documents to form that government. So which country today is using the oldest set of documents to run its country? Okay. Is the answer A, the United States, B, England, C, China, or D, France? Give you a moment to ponder this one. What country is using the same form of government today for the longest period of time? What's the oldest active running constituted government? Here we go. There's some rich history here, there's no doubt. A, B, C, or D, lock them in. The answer in 3, 2, 1. United States of America. Now, most of you, especially people in the United States, are like, what? We declared independence from Britain. Britain. What country is up there? B, England. When did England constitute its current documents for its current government that it's running its government under today? It was after the United States. What about France? Well, France saw the United States rebel against Britain, and it rebelled against its monarchy, and with Napoleon, and their government, their current form of government, is close to ours, but it's after ours. Well, see, China, because China has definitely been here longer than any of those, probably, right? Maybe England. England was Celtic. Romans were there, so yeah, China, right? Nope, the current government of China, the current documents being run in the country of China are from 1984. So, the longest running government with its current government framework is the United States of America. Now, there is one country that actually has been operating that had a formation a little bit before the United States and has been operating like that. And that country is within the bounds of entirely of Italy. And it's not Vatican City. Do you know what the oldest one is? I'll let you look that one up with Google. So here are the questions. This is the format. I'm thinking about doing like 10 questions from, each of different countries, or, 10 specific to, maybe a continent, maybe 10 for the world, 10 for hardcore genealogists, 10, softballs for genealogy. What do you think? Too hard, too easy, just right? And like I said, I told you that everybody in the world had an equal chance of this. To be fair, if you live within the confines of the United States, this test was probably harder for you. Everybody else in the world had a legitimate 1 in 4 chance on every question by not knowing the question, 25%. Those of you in the United States had at least a 50% preponderance to the misleading answer I was intending there. So this is actually easier if you were outside the US. You probably got a higher score. So did you get a perfect score? If you did, leave it down in the comments below. But no, you will be judged by the rest of us who won't believe you. Anyway, seriously though, leave what you thought. What was the most surprising one you didn't know about? What was the most interesting? And yes, I did uncover these, except for the Germany question, through genealogy. All the other questions did come up in my genealogical research. That to me is what makes these so interesting. About the 14 presidents before Washington, about Adams serving before Washington, and then how Adams became along, before the 12th Amendment, and even about William Holland Thompson. That one was very specific to not just genealogy, but to my family's genealogy. So my current family number 3's genealogy. the ones that concerned the presidency, that was actually family number 1. So these actually came up in genealogical research, and so I found them to be interesting, and I've made notes of them, and that and many more things that I've come across. So what do you think? Is this something you'd like to see? Would you like it to be specific to regions? Do you have any suggestions for topics? So my thought is to do 10 questions in a specific area and do those, I don't know, once a week, scheduled maybe on a Friday. I thought about maybe doing a Saturday live stream. I started at 10 a.m., Central Saturday, so that people on the West Coast could get up at 8 a.m. and do it, and still those in Europe could participate if they wanted to. So what do you think? Would you like to see more of this? Was this fun? Can you beat your friends at this? How many you got right? How many will they get right? I'll give you a hint. You want to watch this video and then play it again for some other people at work, and then see how many they get right, because you're probably going to beat them. Only the people that watch this video are going to get all these questions right, except for the Germany question. If you're from Germany and you don't get that one, they need to maybe revoke citizenship or something. I don't know. That one's pretty bad. That was a softball for everybody in Germany, and pretty soft for people in France. But the rest of the questions were actually pretty difficult. So unless you're a college student studying history somewhere in the world, I doubt you got all of them right. But there's maybe some people. Let me know. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. But either way, tell me in the comments what you liked or disliked. That helps me polish things up and make it a little better. Yes, I know the music was a little loud. I'm working on that. So along with that, what did you like about the questions? What do you want to see? Do you have any questions that you think would be good to maybe include, or things that you found in genealogy that were just surprising? Put those in the comments below too. Maybe I can research them and include those as a question in here. I was thinking, we did that one video on are you using the right census? Something is answering something as simple as what state was Louisville in this year, or something like that. That one may get right, maybe not, because the borders changed. Did the border change around Louisville? I don't know. I'll let you look that one up. So, in that, what would you like to see? We can make this, very specific, relevant, but I do want to make it where it's for everybody. and not just for people in the United States. So at a minimum, I would do 10 questions specific to U.S. genealogy, 10 to maybe Irish genealogy or Australian genealogy or African genealogy or European, maybe continental genealogy that way. Let me know. What would you like to see? Leave in the comments below. Enjoyed it. Hope you did too. Talk to you later.